And welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to take a look at One Deck Dungeons Forest of Shadows expansion. It's a game I did recently do a solo play video too, but I thought it'd be helpful to do a video that takes an actual look at the rules. This can be a standalone game or an expansion. For this video, I'll treat it as a standalone game, so this single deck is all you need to play. And with that said, let's look at the setup. The very first thing you're going to want to do is pick out a character. It comes with a handful here. We'll just randomly pick the Slayer. So I'm going over the one-player rules, but every card has a two-player side and a one-player side. The one-player side is a little bit stronger because there's only one player playing. The next thing you'll do is take the turn reference card. This just shows you kind of the operation or the order of operation as you play, and it has the boss fight rules on the back. So we'll set it somewhere close to the player. I think we'll move these down a bit for now. And you will also pick a potion. In this expansion, and this is a rule specific only to the expansion, you pick a basic potion also. So you have this card that has 4 different types of basic potions. You just pick one, whichever one you want to pick goes under here. So whenever you play a potion, you get this heal ability and you get your basic potion. Place that where it's within reach, and you put a little square token on it. That shows how many potions you have. As you get more potions throughout the game, you can use one of these counters for any potion that you have. Next step, we pick the enemy. It comes with a handful of enemies. They all have dots by their name. That shows the difficulty level. And for this example, we'll pick the easiest one, which is the Mud Golem. So you take that enemy card, and on the back of it, it shows different obstacles you'll have to pass as you pass your way through the dungeon. So you put that where you can see it. You cover up, when you're on level 1, you cover up those other 2. As you get to level 2, in the dungeon, you'll have those 2. And as you get to level 3, you have to beat all of those obstacles as you go down. So you put it right under the turn reference, so it just shows that top row for level 1. So a lot of this game involves stacking cards on top of each other to show certain abilities and things like that. Next step of the setup, you'll pick your level cards. You start on level 1, which says you can have 1 item and 2 skills and 1 potion and no encounter bonus, which we'll look at those in a second. It shows you need 6 experience to level up. As you advance and go up levels, you get stronger and you can have more items. These also have the 2-player on the back. So you start with the 1-player. Set those somewhere where you can see them, and when you defeat monsters for experience, you'll stack them right by these cards so that you know when you've got enough experience to go up a level. Finally, we set up the dungeon. The dungeon is the majority of the cards in the deck and the stair cards. If you're on level 1 or 2-player, you use this side. 4-player, you use this side. You place the stair card right at the bottom. You take the other dungeon cards, place them on top of it. When you get to that final card, it'll be the stairs going down to the next level of the dungeon. You can also put a poison reference card by you, which kind of describes poison. I will go over the poison rules as we go through the video. The poison rules are new to this expansion. And with that, we're finally ready to go over gameplay. Actually, we're ready to place our dice. So you have all these dice, and that's called the dice pool. So what you'll want to do is just have ready dice for all your abilities. So we'll have 2 yellow, which symbol attack. Looks like 5 purple ones that are for agility. Or is that 4? 4. And 1 blue one for magic. So those are what we roll for attacking. I like to keep those handy because you use them every turn. And heroic feat dice are a wild card black dice. Those are earned during specific actions. So this character, for example, you get a heroic dice when you complete a monster encounter, and you may store up to 2 dice at a time. So if we had any heroic dice, they'd be stored there, but don't have any yet, so I'll just put those back. So now we're ready to look at the actual rules of the game. The first thing you do at the beginning of the turn is, it says time passes, and when time passes, you flip 2 cards over. What this does is progress through the deck. You'd like it to take as long as you can before you run out of cards and get to those stairs, because that gives you time to grind and go up levels a bit. But so on your first turn, all you can do is explore. Every turn you can either explore or encounter a room. So explore simply means you put 4 doors down. If you have any other doors, you put up to 4 doors down, actually. If you have any doors already present, you would only put up to 3, so up to 4. So let's say you had 2 of them here, you'd only put 2 there. And that's your first turn, that's it. Whenever you explore, that's a whole turn. So now your next turn, you can encounter. So you start by flipping 2 cards. And now that we've explored and passed the time, we can now enter a room. It can be any face down card, or it can be one that's face up if you had originally fled it. But let's flip the card and see. This is a knoll. So the way you encounter monsters, and really Perils is the same way, you have to roll dice and have numbers high enough to cover up those spaces of that color. So like if you roll and you have a 3, you could put it 3, 4, or 5, or 6. 3 or higher could cover up that. And the 2 boxes can have multiple dice on it. So you have dice that add up to 7, you could cover up that sword. If you have a single purple dice that's 4 or higher, it'd cover up this spot. Any combination of dice of purple dice equaling 8 or higher could cover up those. And in addition to what's on the card you draw, you also have to cover up the boxes on the level card. So if you're on level 1, it's just this top row. And if it's a monster, you'd have to cover up the 4 and the 5. And if it's a peril, you'd have to cover up the 4 on this side. And then as you advance, you'd have to get all of them. So like if you're fighting a monster, when you're on the 2nd level of the dungeon, you'd have to cover up all 3 of these boxes. On the 3rd level, you have to cover up all those. And for peril, it's the same thing on that side. The other thing is, if it has a shield on it, you have to cover up all the shields before you can cover up anything else. So I think I'll just roll and show you how that kind of works. And I know there's a bunch of other symbols we didn't go over yet. I'll show you that after we roll. I do want to say though, the skill, before you encounter, you always do the skill. So this skill the monster has says you cannot place wild card heroic dice on the dungeon challenge boxes. So the dungeon challenge boxes are here. Wild cards are heroic dice. You can't place those on that if you're fighting this monster. The other way you can get heroic dice are if you have 2 other dice, any 2 other dice, you can trade in 2 dice for heroic dice. The only thing is it has to be whatever number's lowest. So if you trade in, say, a 6 and a 4, that would get you a 4. That could be a wild card for any color. But let's say we're going to encounter this beast here. So we'd roll all the dice. For a monster, you roll all the dice. And now we'd see what we can place. So, can't place a lot, huh? Well, we could cover up, we have an 8. A 5 and a 3 would cover up that one. And this 6 would cover up that. And what a terrible roll. This is my problem with this game. I lose because I'm a terrible roller every time. So the only box is, oh man, I take that back. You have to cover up shields first. Let's pretend we rolled a little better. How about? Actually, let's just roll again. Roll again, and that's a little better. Okay. So you have to cover up the shields first. So that 3 has to get covered. And we have a dice. This is a 3, so it goes there. We have to cover up that 4 because it has a shield. I got a 4 here. Okay. And now we also have to get those. But now the shields are all gone, so now I can cover up whatever we want. So to get that 8, I have a 5 and a 4, so that'll cover up the purple 8. And I have a 5 yellow, so we can put that 5 yellow on this. And then these dice can't cover up anything. If we were going to trade those in for a wild card, heroic dice, but there's a wild card, that would only get us a 2. And then those would be gone, and that 2 would still serve no purpose. So that's everything we covered. And that's normal, especially on your first round. You're going to lose your first battle. But win or lose, you get the card. But first, you suffer consequences. So the way consequences work, I'll try to pull this up without knocking off the dice. It's whichever boxes you didn't get covered, you suffer the consequence. So on this one, we have to suffer the consequence on that 7 box. And that 7 box shows a heart and a little, that's a poison drop. So a poison drop gives you a poison token that just goes on your player. I'll talk about that in a second. And then we also have to look at what we didn't accomplish here. And here we didn't cover up the 4 attack dice, and that has a consequence of a time. So a time just means you pass a time down, you discard another card. So we defeated him. Now we clear the dice, and now we get the card. So when you get the card, you can use it for a variety of things, but only one. So if it's an item, it's what's on this side. So this would be an item. It would have us add 1 attack dice to our character roll. If we wanted to keep it as a potion, we could keep it as a potion, and then it would come down here, and that potion stack says roll 1 attack and gain an attack of 3. So let's say you have a 1 or a 2, you could roll that, and then you'd have a 3 or more. Or you can use it for experience, and that gives you 2 experience. And then if you use it for experience, it would stack under here, like that. And when you have 6 experience added up, you'd go up a level. This card I will take as an item. And as our level says, we can only have 1 item. So now you have this item, and now you get an extra yellow dice on your roll. When you get another card, if you want to replace, if you want to use that as an item, you can replace one of the items you have under here, and it would just trade in for experience. But that's it. Oh no, that's not it. I didn't suffer all the consequences yet. I forgot. We also had to suffer the consequence of the 7 here, which means we take a damage. When you take damage, you put a little heart on your character, and when you have hearts equal to what's here, so this is 5, you die. So right now we've taken 1 damage, you can take 4 more. And it takes a poison counter. Okay, so now Now that we've got 2 poison counters, we're probably ready to talk about poison real quick. Because why not make the game even more difficult? So poison, whenever you explore, you have to roll to resist poison. The way you resist poison is you roll a dice. And if it's higher than your number of poison counters, nothing happens and you lose a poison counter. If it's lower, let's say I roll a 1 or a 2, if it's equal or lower, you still lose a poison counter, but you take 2 damage, which is not good. But that was just an example. We're not exploring, so it's not happening yet. It's only when you explore, or there might be some other cards that make you test to resist poison as well. So that's basically the order of combat. You do the monster ability, you roll. If you have a heroic feat, you can use that. You can use an item, or you can use, if you have a skill, and we didn't get a skill yet, but if you have a skill, you can use it, and you can use a potion whenever you want to, once per turn. When you use a potion, you discard that and choose which potion you want to do. So now we'll start the second turn. Just want to show you another turn. Flip 2 for time. And we'll flip this card. And that card is a trap. Now traps are slightly different than monsters, because you choose which one you want to do. So you can go in yellow combat, or you can go in blue magic. Where did my blue dice go? Whoops. There. And if they have an arrow, like that arrow is pointing that way, you can only use the item if you go combat. If you defeat it with the blue, or if you fight it in blue, you can only take this ability. And abilities are skills, I guess, are just another option you can do. It goes under your card here. And this one, for example, you could use once per turn. It says re-roll a die and gain a 1 heroic die if you have that ability. If you took it as an item, it would just give you 1 more blue attack. And now in this case, if we took it as an item, we wouldn't be able to, because we can only have 1 item on level 1. So we could take experience, and you get 3 experience. The more experience a creature gives, or a trap gives, the harder it is. And now the final thing about traps that's really annoying. Hey, I forgot. Because of this heroic feat, we fought a monster, so we get a heroic dice. So on Perils, on traps, you can only roll the color that you're testing against and your heroic dice if you want. So if we were going to play against this, we can only roll these 3 dice and the heroic dice. We won't roll that though. So I'm just going to roll these and see if we roll 10 or more, and didn't even come close. 3 2s. So I failed this card because that's only 6 and I needed 10. Oh, and even worse than that, you have to do that also. So I couldn't cover any of that up. So if we were playing here, I'd suffer the consequence of right here, and that would have to go first because it had to shield. So take a time counter for that, so that flips over, and then here we lose 2 life, gain a poison counter. Whoa! I'm dropping stuff all over. A poison counter and a time. You see why I complain that this game is way too hard? And since we fought in strength or combat, we have to take it as an item. I don't want to give up that item I have there, so this card will come in as experience. So I'll do one more turn before we explore again. So we do turn, we lose 2 times, and let's pick this room. Okay, and this is a monster that is extremely hard to beat. You know, he's level 4. We'd take a poison counter if we fought him. Have all that stuff to cover up. There's no way we could beat him, so you can just flee the room and he'll stay there. Then we would take another turn. I want to do one more before we explore, because I want to show you how poison works. So we look at this last room. Is this something I can beat? Yes. I'm going to fight this one in agility. I need to roll 13, and I'll use the wild card. So let's see if we can roll. Whoa, 13. Okay, so we'll roll those. Okay, I don't want to die on this first turn, so I'm just going to re-roll those. Pretend like I'm really bad at rolling dice. It's like really, look at that, I jinxed it. All right. So okay, we can fight this. So we need 13 there, and we need the 4 on that side because that has a shield on it. So the 4 covers up that, and look at that. This equals 15. We didn't even need to use our heroic dice. So we defeated that monster. Since that has an arrow pointing, we have to take this, and that says, I believe, potion. So this one would be a potion, and if we use its potion ability, it would prevent 2. Now the nice thing about this, this edition of the game, there it is, this heart. Heal 1 life or remove a poison counter every time a potion is gained or used. So we can actually use that ability. We'll place our new potion right under here. There's no limit on the number of potions you can have. We don't have to use that counter, but we can heal. So then I would say take a poison counter off maybe. Actually, no, let's heal a life there. Okay, and that is it for that turn. Do one more turn to show you the explore. Flip, flip, and we're not going to fight that, going to explore. So when you explore, you have to test against poison. So you roll, and I have 3 poison counters, but for every face-up card that has a little symbol right here, a little leaf there, that counts as an antidote, and that takes 1 off, adds 1 to your roll, or takes 1 off your roll. So here we have to roll higher than 3, and I rolled a 5, and that actually would give us 6. So I rolled, so we don't lose any damage from the poison, and whenever you test for poison, you lose a poison counter to make it hopefully a little bit easier. So that's it. We explore, and you put cards all the way down. That's the basics of combat. I should say what happens when you level up also. When you level up, you go to the next card on your level thing. You cash in any experience you needed to go up, and then you get new skills. So you can have 3 items, 3 skills when you're on level 2. You gain another potion. So that would just be put another little potion counter down there, and you gain an encounter bonus. So you have a permanent heroic dice you get to use. So it's best to level up, get to level 2 as fast as you can. It makes it a little easier, and then you get stronger with each one. But that's how leveling up works. And now I'll show you what happens when you get through. So let's say you finally get through the dungeon here. Have everything flipped over, and the stairs are revealed. So once the stairs are revealed, the game changes a bit. You can continue to flip to explore room or enter rooms and level up, but every time you would spend a time counter. Whoa, I'm still dropping things all the time. Every time you would lose a time counter, since there's no more time counters to spend, you put a heart on the stairs. So, let's say you have a turn, you use 2. Another turn, you use 2. And, you know, if you lose a time counter in a battle, say here, that'd be another heart goes on there. Whenever you have 3 or more hearts, you remove 3 of them, leave whatever else is there, take a damage, which is just crazy. But then that's it. Then you can, whenever you want, at the end of a turn that the stairs are revealed, or at the beginning of your next turn that the stairs are revealed, you go down the stairs and start the next dungeon level. When you get down to the next dungeon level, you shuffle the deck up. You actually clear all of these also. Clear all of those and start the new deck. You move this up 1. So now, like I said, you have to, on dungeon level 2, you have to defeat both rows. But that's about it for what the dungeon level. So then after you get through level 2, then you move on to dungeon level 3. You go the same way. You have to defeat all of those, including the monster. And then finally, when you reveal the stairs at the end of level 3, you fight the boss. To fight the boss, you flip over the card, and you have to roll to cover up all these boxes. So let's say I got a lot stronger. I'll just throw a whole bunch of extra dice here just to kind of do a dummy combat. There. And another couple of wild cards. So let's fight the boss, because the boss is more than just, okay, I want dice rolling all over. So let's say we could cover up, we have, my goodness, you have to cover up 22 things there. That's about 22. And let's just pretend. Let's cover up a bunch of these, because I just want to show you what happens. So let's say we could cover up most of the boss. Okay, so let's say we covered up all this. So that 22, we didn't have enough to cover there. So we would lose 1 heart. And the 6, we didn't quite get that one either, so we'd lose a heart. But everything we covered up. So now, let's pretend we covered up that 5 and that 22. So they have little skulls. For every skull you cover up, the boss takes a damage, and he has to take 12 damage. And I forgot, you can't use heroic dice on boss. See, tried to cheat. But anyhow, you do a damage for every box you cover up on the, or for every skull you cover up on the boss. So like here, if we would have covered up the 5 in the corner and the 22 here, that'd be 4 skulls, so the boss would take 4 damage. You put 4 tokens on the boss, you clear the dice, and if you're still alive, whoa, I am terrible at dropping things today. You roll again, but what's even worse, every boss has an ability, and look at that ability. At the start of each round, exile 4 dice, which is insane. How can you defeat this guy doing that? Like seriously, on what planet could you win this? You don't cover those up, you lose 2 hearts for each of those. Oh, and you do poison, you test poison after each round too. So, you lose 4 dice, let's just say those. You can't use heroic dice, so you have less dice to fight him with. And you have to test against poison. So you might lose 2 life from poison. Just crazy. But then you roll again, and let's pretend if I drop another dice, I swear I'm going to throw this game in the trash. Let's say you somehow beat the boss. Then you win the game. Let's say you somehow make it to the next round. Say you could cover, I don't know, you could cover most of these boxes and I don't know. So you see, you want to cover the ones with skulls so that you can do damage to him, but you also don't want to leave these ones with consequences open where you lose 2 life. These you lose 1 life. So it's very hard, and this exiling 4 dice at the beginning of each round, it's hard. I'll just keep saying this game is hard, but I think I covered all the rules there. Hopefully, if I left anything out, it comes with this handy little instruction book, but sometimes it's easier to just watch a video and kind of see some rounds in action. But that will do it for this video. This game is extremely difficult. If you want to check out my one deck dungeon playlist over here, there's a link to it in the corner. I do three or 4 solo plays. You can watch me try to tackle this difficult game, but it is put together really well, and it is a lot of fun. So would I recommend it? I totally would recommend it. I would just say be patient, know that you might never win because it's hard. But that will do it for this video. I'll be back with another soon. So until then, thanks for watching.